And welcome everyone to a latest edition of Katz Chats. I'm Andy Katz here from the Missouri Valley Conference. Pleased to be joined by Indiana State head coach Matt Graves, fresh off a 2-0 start now in the Valley, 7-4 overall. Matt, let's first deal with the latest W to get you guys to this 2-0 mark for these December Valley games. What's been sort of the cause of this four in a row and this 2-0 start?
Well, I think, certainly we got guys they're playing at a really high level. They bought into how we want to play offensively. And, what was great last night for about the last 12 minutes of the first half, I thought defensively was by far our best effort of the season. So we're actually figuring out that there's two sides to the court with this team. I'm a big analytical guy, and offensively, our numbers are excellent for our team and our level and what we're trying to do, and defensively, not so much. And last night was really the first game that we were able to put together, a good defensive game plan, and our guys really did an outstanding job executing.
So, what you've accomplished thus far, and I know we still have months to go,
Yep.
um, it's not easy, because Indiana State obviously had to come from the bottom of the top, and Josh did a great job last year. They get to the NIT final, great run, really arguably should have been in the NCAA tournament. Then he goes to St. Louis, key guys go with him. And so the sort of the bottom drops a little. And you come in and boom, you've got this team now righted. You pick up Samaj Teal from Presbyterian, so a bump up in that, and he's scoring big time for you. Months later, after getting it, how would you put in perspective about where you are as to maybe where you thought you could be when you took the job?
No, no question. Certainly I'd be lying if I said we're right where I thought we would be. When you start over essentially on May 1, by the time we got a new staff and started really digging into, players that we had a shot at getting, because the portal had been churning for 6 weeks by the time we really got settled and locked in. I didn't know quite where we would be. I didn't think we would be this far ahead, but the best thing that I will say is we got it right with the people. My coaching staff, I absolutely hit a grand slam with those guys. They're workers, they're knowledgeable. They have a bunch of different strengths, and it hides my weaknesses, and we just kind of all work together, and it's a great group. And you know, when we started diving into the portal of the type of kids that we wanted, we were able to find enough of the right guys. Um, and then I thought we did an outstanding job with our freshmen. We're playing. Last night we played three freshmen double figure minutes, and against Missouri State the game before, we had four freshmen that were out there playing and contributing. And the media is like, what? Nobody does that and wins. And I think what it shows is we have a really a true team of guys that are completely bought in to what we're trying to do as a program. It's a great culture. And when Coach Schertz left, and obviously I was here with him all 3 years that he was here, we understood what this place meant and what this place was like and how you need to operate and be successful. We have great fan support, and I told every recruit that comes in here that you have a bunch of coaches up there in the stands that know what good basketball is like. And our guys have really bought into that, and the community has really wrapped its arms around this team. And we're just excited about where we are at this point. And obviously, as you said earlier, there's months to go, and we're going to take our lumps. There's no doubt about that. But at the same time, our goal, and I've said this from my press conference, and it's not changed. When we get on the bus in early March to head over to St. Louis, we want to feel like we have a team that's good enough to play for that championship on Sunday. That's the goal, period. And how we get there, we'll figure that out along the way. But yeah, we're a little bit further along than I thought we would be at this time. But it's a credit to our guys and how well they played. And Samaj Teal is a big piece of that.
So I want to be clear on one thing. Obviously, you were there, but I mean, I think in years past, um, if someone steps up, for the most part, a lot of guys stay, or there's a lot of
Yeah,
consistency. We're just in a new era.
it is.
Where
Yeah.
I don't care if, all the staff but one guy stayed, or, it's a total Wild West now. And so when you get a job, it feels like probably you are starting over, even if
It
you have
does.
physically been there before. Um, and so that's why I meant that it probably did feel like you are starting over, even though you have familiarity with that. And so I want to peel back a couple things that you said. First of all, finding the right guys, because we have found so far this year across the country in the portal. And I don't want to name names, but there's some players that commanded some higher dollars and they haven't
Yeah.
panned out.
Yeah.
And there are other players that are having great seasons so far that maybe were not as highly rated in the portal. So what were you looking for that, whether it's Teal or anyone else, that you think you have found that have fit and flourished so far?
Well, I think it starts first and foremost. There's a certain style of basketball that we want to play here, and there's a blueprint on that type of player. We want someone that has the ability to score the ball, has the ability to be versatile, and be able to think and move and play a certain way. And I know that it's kind of generic, but it's one of those things where I think we have a pretty good eye test when it comes to our staff and evaluating what we're really looking for and diving into. And you're not going to hit on everybody. We didn't hit on all of our transfers, but at the same time, you can't go and miss on 4 or 5 guys and expect to be good. So we were fortunate. You do get lucky. There's some luck that's involved in that. There's no question. We don't have a magic secret formula that's gonna be 100%, but we do feel like we do our due diligence on calling around a lot of people and getting the best feel for competitive character that we can. And that's what we really want. We want guys that have great competitive character and understand that it's team above themselves. And again, you're not always going to get it right, but I think the other piece for us, I could have went the other way when I got this job and said, all right, we've got 10 spots to fill. Let's go find the best talent that we can find and get old as quickly as we can. But then guess what, Andy? We're doing it again next year. So I don't want at Indiana State, we cannot get in that cycle of bringing in 9, 10, 11 new guys every year. We've got to be in a cycle where we go and develop and grow young talent. We have 9 freshmen and sophomores on this roster. And do I expect all 9 of them to be back next year? No, probably not going to happen. But I've got to get 5 or 6 of those guys to come back. We recruited 3 great young men here in the fall, and then go get 3, maybe a 4th transfer in the spring. And that's how you have to build it at Indiana State. And that's the model that we want to continue to use.
The other thing you said about your weaknesses. Now, I've known you a long time. You've been bounced around, especially in the state of Indiana. But why do you think at this point in your life and in your career, this is the right time for you to be the head coach at Indiana State?
Well, I think it goes back to when I got my first opportunity at South Alabama, which I'm so grateful, for that opportunity because it stretched me. It got me out of my comfort zone. I'm a kid, I'm a Midwest kid, I'm an Indiana kid. I joke all the time with people that, I lived in the Butler bubble for 5 years as a player, playing for Barry Collier, and then, 12 years getting to coach with, Todd Licklider and Brad Stevens and, being around, other great coaches, Laval Jordan, Micah Shrewsbury, Terry Johnson at Purdue. But we were in some ways sheltered, and, when I went to South Alabama, I didn't really understand APR, what that was all about, and different things like that. So to grow and stretch, and then when I failed at South Alabama, I felt like though I was still growing as a coach. Then I had a chance to go to Evansville for a year and work with Walter McCarty. Then you go 2 years and spend that time with Travis Steele at Xavier, and then come here for 3 years with Josh Schertz. Now my network has grown. What I've seen in basketball has grown. You're always trying to grow and develop as a coach every year. But when I was at Butler, you would call and talk to people and go visit with people, and that's good, and you learn that way. But to actually be in those schools and those settings and see how things operate, just that experience just greatly added to my toolbox. And then to get to come back home 50 minutes from where I grew up, this is home for me. And I love being in this community. I love being a part of Indiana State University. And it's just been a great blessing to, I want to try to stay here as long as I can.
And lastly, Matt, it felt like last year the fandom, the fever of the Sycamores was tapped that maybe hadn't been tapped for, since the late 70s, early 80s. And clearly, you're keeping that going. I mean, what did you see in the last couple of years that was sort of untapped that exploded last year with enthusiasm and support for this program?
Well, I think what you had was a style of play that was exciting to watch. You go and score. Everybody likes scoring, whether it's in the NFL or college football or basketball. They'd like to see 3-point shooting and fast breaks and then ultimately you got to win. There's you go and score 90 points and get beat all the time. That's not any fun either. But with the style of play that Coach Schertz brought to Indiana State, and you couple that with the winning, you had a fan base that's hungry. This is a basketball state. This is a basketball community. And when you have all that come together with a style of play and you're winning, it's ready to explode. And I'll never forget those NIT games at home last year where you had fans lined up around the Holman Center to get in the building. And it was just such an electric atmosphere. And we took that moment and we were able to sell that to guys like Samaj Teal, to Marcus Harding, when we were recruiting them in the transfer portal. When Josh came here and we were together in year one, we always dreamed about filling the Holman Center up and reigniting the fan base because it had pockets of success. Coach Waltman, Coach Lansing, they had pockets of success and really good teams, but never that sustained success. And I think I believe you can do that here because we have such great fan support. And I think you can get to another Final Four here. I really do. They've done it once. I've been a part of two of them at Butler. I know you can do it at this level. And I know that we have enough fan support. We have enough people. We just got to continue to recruit, continue to develop, and it can be done here. And video to show, hey, this is what a full Holman Center looks like. This is the support you get from being in Terre Haute and at Indiana State. It can be done.
You're off to a great start, Matt. We're going to love tracking how you're doing. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy. Good to see you, man.